from my English teacher, she taught me that relationship is a compound noun, whereby we separate relation and the ship. And when you think about that, the ship is a cargo from overseas. Some of them, they have some very valuable goods that they have carried with them. Say from Dubai, talk about, say from the Far East. And a case scenario, one with some high-end vehicles, the ship that is carrying some toothpick, you know, the value, it will be totally different. And this is how it is, and especially how when we relate with other people. And the question is, when I'm interacting with we have Mrs. Right? You know, nowadays they are saying tall, dark and handsome, lakini pia wanasema kama kuna kipara, kama si kidonda, lazima ikuwe na nini? Ikuje pia na pesa. I know pale Medley, kuko na ule anti-waharia, na kuchangamkia woman and all that. And we have seen most of us, you know, having all these, we have the qualities that we're looking in.
Would you advise them to marry you? Are you good enough? Speak up. Someone has said no.
Because that is where kuna maneno ya kutoa lock. There are many drugs that are in the market now. People are trying them. We are also seeing cases of people who abused drugs and they affected them differently. And at this age of curiosity and exploration, that is a concern that we can have a discussion about. Maybe we can go again in the same route, because Mr. Agodu has proven to be a very humble and gentleman. He doesn't like speaking before the ladies. So you can have Madam Lucy taking us first.
Yeah, we can talk about that. But before we go there, let me revise something from the previous conversation about relationships and about dating. Can I ask, what do you do when you're dating? What is that period meant to be for? Yeah? So mama ananiambia pizza. Maybe somebody can answer that. What is that?
This is also a good opportunity for those who like to marry themselves to get other versions of it.
Okay, maybe I can tell you.
Okay.
That period is for knowing the other partner, the other person. It is a serious season for knowing your friend or for knowing your partner. But unfortunately, that is the part that is being neglected by this generation. The knowing the other partner. Well, ukipelekwa pizza, you're okay. Ukiandikiwa hizo messages, somebody anakutumia emojis, they're smiling, and maybe the other end they're crying, you are okay. You know, that is not, I think that is not what dating is all about. This is a time when you should spend knowing the other person, knowing when they get so angry, how do they behave when they are angry? When they are with their friends, how do they behave when they are with their friends? How do they behave towards their family members? If they are church people, how do they behave in church? How do they even behave even to the people they come across, like even the security people, the teachers, I mean, the people around them, how do they behave towards them? Because most likely, how do they behave towards those other people, that is most likely how they behave to you. And there's also something else, and I would like to say it here. Another reason for knowing is because, you see, we are talking about mental health issues, and we are not stigmatizing anything. There are personalities that are actually very difficult to deal with. And as much as we are talking about that, I wouldn't want people to go throwing terms like narcissist, you know, things like that. But you might be in a relationship with somebody who has a personality that is so difficult you cannot handle. Isn't it good to find that early enough before you get into a very serious relationship? and they're there. Okay, that's what I needed to add. But I was asked about drugs. I think Madam Wilkista said about our brains. The most important, you called it engine. Yes, that's what she tells me. And I like here, there's a banner here that says, nurture your mind, nurture your life. As a man thinketh, so he is. So, what we are saying is that if there is one part of our body that is so crucial and important for us to protect is our brain. The brain structure and the brain function. It is very important to protect that. And one way of damaging our brain structures and functions is through drug abuse. That is something that is scientific, that drugs interfere with the chemicals in our brain and distort so many things, even the way the chemicals work, the way the brain is structured, it can be influenced by the chemicals that we use or the chemicals that are used. And we say this is a time when you need to learn and absorb so many things. So if you damage your brain with drug use, what good do you expect is going to come out of your God-given gift of that brain? What good is going to come out of it? You know, you're the one now doing everything you can to damage and destroy a resource that God has given you, which is so powerful. It is the one that is running your life. It is the one that is running your body. It is the one that is running everything about you. Even the way you see things in the environment. It is the work of the brain to process all that information. And if it is influenced by something else, like the drugs we are talking about, it means you will be seeing the situation around in the environment differently, or the perceptions will be different from the way it would have been if that brain was okay. I'll give you an example. You see, somebody who has used weed, and that is so common. I find a lot of that in therapy, especially with the young people. Using it in all ways. Puffing, vaping, edibles, all that. If somebody who has used weed, and maybe you will know, they will see a small, what do you call it, a caterpillar, or what? The ones that crawl. Millicent, those ones. And they'll start screaming and thinking it's what? It's a snake. What does that say? It tells you that the way the brain operates, the chemicals of the brain, the way they are communicating with one another, they have already been affected. So why do we want to destroy our brain?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
You can go, Madam Wilkista.
Okay, I just wanted to comment about that because I have authority. You are my students, you are my clients. This does not happen only here, but in our Kenyan universities. I've worked in other universities. I know that there are so many students who are taking what she mentioned, marijuana. And I've always given you talks. I've always talked about marijuana. I told you people that if there is one thing that brings you closer to psychosis, and I told you guys, psychosis in the ugonjwa wa akili. We don't say mad. I've had very many different answers people give me that they make you feel sharp, you become more creative, you can do your maths well, you are an engineer. I've seen someone there telling me, yeah, I'll take that. Until there are times that I'm forced to take my car and every semester I have to take a person or two there. Yes, after you've taken it, because you don't know your level. Some tell me that Sibo Mali alifika hata kafika miaka sijui ngapi. Alifika ngapi? You are not Bob Marley. You don't know, or Lucky Dube. You don't know the capacity of your brain. There are people who take marijuana once and it snaps. Others take twice, 3 times. You don't know the level. You don't know the ability of your brain to take that. Some tell me it's written in the Bible that it's medicinal. I don't know which verse that is. That all plants are godly. I don't know. It's a verse. I don't know. I think the Bible or the Quran has everything. You can always try to justify whatever behavior using the Holy Book until you are taken to that place. And I remember there's a time I worked there. I remember this. You talked about that. I remember the client who was on marijuana. Then they were cleaning. So they're given church, they clean their own clothes and all that. He was washing his jeans and then he started running away. I'm like, why are you running away? So it changes the way you think. And when you tell me that it makes you more creative or more clever or more whatever, why is it making you want to be more clever and creative and all that? How come that there's a person who's not taking it and they're doing exactly what you're doing? I remember a case in another university whereby a student was actually in the newspapers. He had scored a cool A. Goes to the university, goes first year, second year, third year, fourth year, last STEM. The marijuana tells him, you know what, you can be a musician. So he tells me, I'm meant to be a musician, you know? And marijuana makes me sing so well. I actually told him, you know, it changes your perception. You will always think, drugs will always change your perception. And the moment you start telling yourself, you know what, I need this to do this better. God gave you the brain. Why is your brain not working well? That you need something. And another thing I mentioned before I finish this is that most people who are having mental health issues, depression, anxiety issues, and other mental health issues, they tend to go into drugs because they don't know how to deal with the situation. So because you don't know how to sort your mental health issues, you feel like you have that urge to take marijuana, you have that urge to take alcohol, you have that urge to take that extra thing so that you feel relaxed. We have drugs for those. There is no dosage for marijuana. I ask people, how many rolls are you supposed to take for it to cure your headache? How many rolls are you supposed to puff for it? There is no dosage. They've not come up with it. Or if you put a dosage, we'll tell you, okay, now you have dosage 2 times a day. That will be okay. So far we don't have dosage. If you have mental health issues, there is treatment for that.
Thank you very much. Maybe a comment from Mr. Godu so that we can go to the Q&A.
Thank you. I recall a while back, in my other life I'm a footballer. I play soccer, so msiangalie utambi ili mtungi gas niweze kukimbia, okay? And I remember dislocating my left elbow, and when I got to the hospital, the pain was so much that they gave me some jab. Doctor tueleza sijui inatengenezwa na nini, because in one moment there was so much pain, and the next minute I'm laughing and feeling so nice. And I was asking myself, what the hell is this? And especially after the jab. They didn't give me 1 dosage, they gave me 2 because the pain was so much. And it got me thinking why most of those who consume and abuse some of these substances get there, what is the motivation behind all this? And taking drug is not the issue, but the cause is actually my main issue. Addiction is just a symptom, and especially on the issues that you're dealing with. And I've seen people going through some sort of stress, They get stressed because they are stressed. And eventually, they are stressed because they are stressed. You may want to call that particular substance that makes you feel better. And I've seen when they come to the office, to the therapy center, ilianza tu na curiosity. Some just want to have an understanding of how it feels to take a certain substance. Some it will be out of what you are saying, the peer influence and ile mbugi yetu tumetokelezea, lazima pia tuwatese and because I'm having issues with my esteem, I have to be under the influence for me to be able to conduct myself in a certain way. And it's quite unfortunate because at one moment the man stroke the lady may take the drink, then the drink will take the drink, but within a very short while you find that the drink has taken over this particular person and they are no longer in control. They are under the mercies of this particular substance. And when you think of that, the question would be, if I have dislocated my elbow and the jab that I got made me to feel so nice, is there an alternative to the pain and the challenges that we face in life? Because I've seen that most of us, the reason why we go for this particular option, it's because we don't have healthier coping mechanisms. And I'm happy when Prof was saying that some of these, I think even in this particular panel, some of the techniques that you use, the therapy options that we have, can actually be used as preventive measures as much as they are also curative measures. And this is why, as an individual, for me, as much as through football I dislocated my elbow, it is my way of dealing with the distress, with the challenges that I face. Maybe I had a really rough week and my head is all heavy. When I get to the field, I'm a totally different person. Kicking the ball as if I'm kicking the pain away, right? And the question is, what works for you?
What works for you? And now it's time for you. We have talked a lot from this end, and it's time to hear your voices and your questions, your perspectives. MC Himaz is there, the microphone.
Yes.
If you have a question, please raise up your hand. We can take pressing, or if it's a general question, feel free.
So, mine is a general question. I'm Kasala again. So recently I wrote an article on the Picard principle. This question relates to in terms of seeking employment. Is this discouraged effort, or doesn't this lead to avoiding responsibility, and it often leads to complacency in a way that you become too accepting of negative outcomes without striving for improvement. Too accepting of negative outcomes. Whenever we are faced with something negative, maybe you can reach out to a friend, then anakuambia, take it the way it is, learn to accept things the way they are. So this complacency, there is a way that to some extent it affects our judgment.
Affect lives. Thank you. Okay, another question?
Madam Kenneth, I think you're doing it in such a motherly way. I feel like I'm talking to a mother and not a psychologist. You're really looking out for my future. Thank you. Kagod, will I date me? Drug abuse. Drug abuse is a growing concern. And I think I've done well to mention some of the drugs that we've been culprit to. But what I want to mention that I'd come from a medical background is that when it comes to psychosis and drug abuse, they mentioned about how Bob Marley smoked for 40 years but died of something else, about lung cancer. But then there's you who just smoked once. You could change it kidogo, or for friendly term, but about psychosis. What happens is, back now again to the point that Madam Juma had mentioned about genetics. There are people who are genetically predisposed to fall into psychosis. So for them, being psychotic was about when, not if. So they only needed a trigger. And this trigger in this case was the substance. In this case, either bangi or something else. And also one way to look at it is to look at yourself as a person even before you indulge. I mean, you started indulging around 18, 19, 20. How have you been handling some of these life stressors that thrown at you? If for some reason you find yourself as someone who's probably slow to anger, it only means that when you're tipped off, it become a bangi. And some of these drugs that what they cause is disinhibition. They inhibit your ability to do things in a controlled way. So I think it's important that once you've asked yourself some of these questions, you can do well to refrain from indulging, because these are some of the bridges that if you cross, there is no coming back. Yeah, but thank you very much for sharing on that. And I think drug abuse is a very thin line. And if you can avoid, just please do. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the comment, Daktari. We have another question or comment. The question there.
So I'm asking this on behalf of my friend. So, and also I have another question. It's good to speak out there. You might have some help here. What happened in love, in a relationship?
Just saying, the last question he asked, I think everybody has their own taste. It's just like asking, mbona huyu anapenda ume not you? It's no offense. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It just means ana prefer chipo mucho or something. No, ulikuwa umempeleka KFC. You see? So the whole idea is more of, it's not about you, it's about their preference. That's the key thing to it.
What about the case where you are sympathizing with them? No, but Tuma, this girl loves you. You think she's so committed, but you are not feeling for her. So you are also feeling bad dismissing her. You don't want to chase her away. You don't want to get her. So there is that confusion. I think that is where that guy is coming from.
I think you can still say no in a kind way.
Yeah.
You necessarily don't have to push somebody away.
True.
Then again, it's more about what do you want? What do you prefer?
Yeah.
And if somebody is saying no is not rejection, and it doesn't have to lower your self-esteem or say you're not good enough. So ideally, it's more of where they are in life, what they want to have, and where they foresee themselves. Like kama, huwezi peleka mtoto wa class 1 high school. If they say no, it's not that they're rejecting the high school. It's just that they're not up to that level. Or maybe your values and culture doesn't, it doesn't align.
Right.
Yeah, so the aspect of sympathy, huwezi penda na mtu na huruma. Just be genuine. Yes.
Because after some time, you'll realize actually this is not entirely my type, and that's where you'll become violent. You don't want to be. Anybody? Any other question?
Any other?
Any other person who has written an article? Any other person? I'm saying that because I also write articles. I like writing articles about. Any other person who you have a question?
Well,
a question.
Also, guys, remember, it's okay to speak up. It is ask as many questions as you want.
Yeah, because even this conversation is about talking.
Yeah.
Talk to each other, have a conversation.
Feel free, especially for boy child. Speak up, okay? Speak up. No one is judging you. Ongea. Kama usaya anataka kunigotea sasa. Speak up. You have the right. Oh, you okay? Oh.
She has a question, man. Hi. We can handle that first. Is the fact that there are people who tolerate a lot of negativity from others. Is that, how does that affect?
In those levels, to me, I feel that's quite a dangerous place to be in, because in a way we're also limiting our capacity, our abilities, and the level at which we can be able to stretch. We're told at this particular age, we have particular element. To me, I really have some challenge with that, because if all my body and all that, all right, and that tells you that it's always good that you also get to surround yourself with people who can be able to see the better in you. I've seen situations whereby, because we live in a very competitive world, that of our folks, they really don't want us to surpass them. All right, and they really want us to just be comfortable with where we are. Okay, I'm always happy with the capacity that I have to do better, if not greater things. Remember, the enemy of great is good. If I tell you that it's okay for you to take that path because somebody else did so, it's okay for you to operate from a certain level, then to me, I'm limiting you from achieving greatness. And that's why, for me, it's a very dangerous space.
Or whether there is a shortcut from hardware.
I'm going to give that mother advice. When we talk about why am I feeling heartbroken? It's because I feel a loss. And a loss is a loss. And there are many losses that we have. A major loss would be loss of a loved one. Another one would be loss of a job. And the thing to do is to try and process that loss. So hard as to break you. So it is not so bad. You will feel those emotions that we talk about. The anger, the depression, those ones of anger. Why? I'm feeling so angry. And especially anger in a relationship is quite bad. It is very serious because it is at the point of anger when bad all the way to endure it, to kill somebody because they had been rejected. That was at the point of anger. They must have been not take a no for an answer. And your body, at that time, your body is so much prepared. The hormones, the fluids in the body, the chemicals in the body, they have geared you up for a fight. So if you react at that moment, then for sure, it is going to...
Before I respond to that, I'll also touch on what Madam was talking about. Yes, I can tell you that we do have, how do you call it? The heartbroken syndrome. It actually breaks your heart actually breaks. Yes, and you say it's heartbroken syndrome. So, when you're having those feelings that your heart is broken, the muscles inside your heart, something is happening. Your heart is actually breaking. So it's good to work on it. More. I don't know whether they loved you or they were pretending to, but they said that, oh, you're no longer good for me. So you start having so many questions, asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Because it's, most of the time it's about me. You think you are the problem. It's about what have I done wrong? What did I do to them? Back to my question. You learn every day. You learn the other person, you learn what they want, and then you start building on what you've learned from them. So, just the way you build relationships. Remember this person you're meeting, you don't even know them. You met them, wakiwa na menozote, tunasema ngapi? 32. So, you start learning them from day one. What Madam talked about, the dating time. You build that relationship, and that is where you build intimacy. Slowly by slowly. It can't happen like today you are meeting this person and things just happen. I believe it's a process, something that you build.
Thank you very much, panelists. Thank you very much. Insightful and full of planning. Wishing you all the best in your future endeavors, and see you shortly in the next session. Thank you very much. Panelists can resume their seats. Then the MC can